Welcome back to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. This podcast is all things leadership, communication, confidence, clarity, and life. And today we have an incredible guest. Her name is Kristine Cunningham. She is a health coach. She is a personal friend of mine, and she is one of those human beings that when you meet, you know you have met someone who's going to touch your life in so many ways. I know you're going to love this podcast episode. If you're not driving, grab a notebook, grab a pen. You're going to want to take notes. Without further ado, Kristine, welcome to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you for that awesome introduction. That's so sweet.
You are so welcome. All true. All true. So, Kristine, we want to know what got you out of bed this morning and every morning, what lights a fire under you and gets you going every day.
Okay. Well, I am actually really passionate about helping women who have kind of just been in this diet culture for years and have developed this negative relationship with food and cannot see a way out, don't listen to their bodies anymore, do what they're told to do, which is oftentimes not correct. But I have a passion with helping them learn to like food again, learn to love their bodies. So important.
Yeah.
And really just blossom.
I think that is absolutely beautiful. And I am one of those people, was one of those people. I had the privilege of working with you, Kristine, and it was life-changing. There are so many aspects of things we learned together, things I learned from you that I still put into practice. And I actually had someone say to me today, "What are you doing? You look brighter and shinier and lighter." And she said, "Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. Are you going to a different gym?" And I just smiled and I said, "I worked with Kristine and I don't diet anymore. And I don't put all the emphasis on food. And I move my body for moving my body's sake. And I eat for fueling my body. And what a difference that makes." So if someone is listening and they're saying, "Gosh, I wonder what my relationship to food is." What does an unhealthy or a poor, I don't know what the right word is, relationship with food look like? What are the signs we're looking for that might be us?
Okay. So first, I just want to say that a lot of us don't recognize when we have an unhealthy relationship with food. And we've bought into what society tells us about how we should look, what we should eat.
Yes.
And there's always trends on what you should eat that we're following. And for myself, for the 70s, 80s, 90s, no carbs, no fat, I thought that was healthy eating, right? So I had no fat in my diet.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there's always fat that sneaks in.
Yes.
But non-fat food products, trying not to have any fat, and also not eating any carbs, which you can't function that way, right?
That's right.
So what does that look like if you don't have a healthy relationship with food? Do you have food rules? I had food rules for years and didn't realize they were food rules. Also, are there specific foods that you will not touch? When I just had a conversation with my father, and I never take leftovers home from my parents' house. And they always thought it was because we just don't eat leftovers. And it was really because when I'm at my parents' house or a holiday or anything like that, that's a splurge. It's a cheat day, right? So I would never take the leftovers home because I'm not eating that the next day because I have to get back on track.
Right.
So if you're on a diet and you're allowed cheat days, we were talking about this the other day. Cheat puts such a negative connotation to food. It causes guilt, right?
Yes.
Are you exercising because you're going to have a piece of cake today? That's another thing you should be looking out for.
Ouch.
Same. I mean, there's just so many different things that we do. Are you counting calories? Are you limiting your calories that you take? Because most of us, when we're limiting our calories, are not getting enough calories for us to function on.
Mhm.
And so then we start, if we're not getting enough calories, we're eating our muscle because your body has to have something to live on.
Yes.
1,200 calorie a day diet, did it for years, and I was starving myself and
Mhm.
didn't realize it.
Yes.
And once we get into this culture and really ingrained in it, it's so hard to get out because you have all these rules coming at you all the time and all these eat this, don't eat that, that we don't know what to eat anymore. We don't know how to listen to our bodies anymore.
Yes. Yeah, and I think we were talking about this too recently. We can open up any browser and start typing in best things to eat to lose weight. I've done this. And you as you go through all of these, it's eat avocados, and the next one says don't eat avocados, and then one says eat raspberries, and the other one says don't eat any fruit. One says eat all the fruit you want. It's all over the place. And where do you even how do you even start? So we have identified what this unhealthy relationship food looks like. So what's our first step after we come to a realization of, yeah, I really have this unhealthy relationship. Well, let me ask you this first before we do that. Where does this come from? Where's our unhealthy relationship with food come from? Why do we even have it?
Oh, I think it comes from society. And this, I mean, we obviously, I mean, this is redundant. Everybody knows this. All the models are stick thin. Like we see that our society holds women who are thin to the highest of standards.
Yes.
And it's almost like women who aren't get ignored.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we all want to be healthy and fit and fit into a certain mold, right? We think people will like us more. You can get those clothes and look better in them. So I think it really does come from society.
So once we acknowledge that we have this unhealthy relationship with food, most of us can probably think back and even pinpoint a time when that started, something that was said to us or something we overheard or something that someone innocently said that we interpreted as something in our lives as negative. Once we are able to recognize that and acknowledge that, what are some of the first steps we take to healing that relationship with food then so that we don't wake up and open the refrigerator and stand there for 20 minutes wondering what I should eat that isn't going to make me fat today?
Right. I mean, it is a process because we're so damaged by what we've been thinking for so long. And so it's about your mindset and really changing your mindset, which takes effort,
Mhm.
changing your habits. But one of the biggest things is one of the things if I could shout it from the rooftops all the time, it would be there is no good and bad food.
Thank
Stop
you.
thinking about food as good and bad. There are bad things that go into our food, right? So the chemicals and the processing of our food,
Yeah.
those are bad things. But there's no good and bad food. So if you're at a birthday party and there's going to be cake, we put ourselves under so much stress, our body under so much stress by thinking there's good and bad foods. And so all day you're thinking, I'm on a diet, I shouldn't eat cake tonight. What do I have to do not to eat that piece of cake? And it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
You're putting so much stress on your body. And if you're eating in a stress state as well, then your digestion shuts down.
Mm.
Like that's, I think, one of the biggest things
Yeah.
is we have this negative guilt relationship with bad foods. And so if you're eating a bad food, you are so stressed about it and feeling so guilty about it
Yes.
that it is being counterproductive to leading a healthy life.
Right.
Not that you should eat cake every day, because obviously that's not going to be helpful. There are healthier options that you can focus on,
Yes.
and also have that less healthy option
Mhm.
if you want it occasionally.
Yeah. And you touched on this, the stress of eating something, like eating something and stressing out so much over it that your digestion starts to shut down, which in turn makes it, I don't know if the term is even worse or I don't know where I'm trying to head with this, but I know you read my mind.
I know what you mean because you don't want to say, that it's worse because you're eating something you shouldn't be eating.
Right.
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 So it's not worse because you can eat that. But
Right.
it does create an issue. And I mean, honestly, stress is such a huge thing in general in eating, and most of us don't realize how we eat under stress all the time, and that's not healthy. And a lot of people who even just like stop eating under stress will help your body start to heal, and you'll see changes in your body just by doing that.
Wow.
A lot of us will eat at our desks, right? So
Mhm.
we are so busy all the time. I mean, I'm guilty of this with my previous position. I ate at breakfast and lunch at my desk working. And it was like I was always stressed at work, and so huge stress on my body. Your body cannot digest your food if you're eating that way.
Yes.
And this is a really hard habit to break because we all feel like we don't have enough time in the day. You cannot take 30 minutes out of your day to sit and have a meal without doing something,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I really feel like that's part of our culture as well, is to be go go go. You're put on a pedestal if for what you achieve and how fast you get things done, and really you need to take a step back and slow down and really be mindful when you're eating, so that your body, it can digest your food
Yes.
properly, and then in turn we'll use that food as fuel.
That is such a that was such an aha moment for me in working with you was just really taking that time and that we're worthy of taking the time to slow down and eat a meal without scrolling on our phone or answering the phone or taking a bite and typing. I've done this for years. Whether I worked for myself or I worked for somebody else like you, I ate breakfast and lunch every single day at my desk. And then dinner, I just felt so like stressed that it wasn't even an enjoyable experience. And I know there's many, many, many people who live that kind of lifestyle. Do you think that that aspect of unhealthy relationship with food is the major part of what we are facing when we are trying to heal our relationship with food? Do you think that's the biggest part or the smallest part, or where do you think that fits in?
I think that you mean the stress or the good bad foods.
The stress. The
Stress is up at there at the top, but I think looking at food as good and bad and not as nourishment
Mm.
is probably the biggest thing.
So I'm heading to that birthday party, I know there's going to be cake, and I start to stress about it. What are some practices I can put into place to start relieving that stress and just embrace the fact that it's my friend's birthday and I'm going to have some birthday cake? How do I do that? Because it can sound easy, but in practice, not so much.
Right. And it's, I mean, I think we all struggle with that. I still struggle with that a little bit.
Mhm.
So first thing is make sure during the day that you eat healthy. Don't restrict your and this is the other thing that we
Oh,
do
yeah.
is if we're going to go to a party, we restrict what we eat during the day because we know we want to have a piece of cake, but then you get there and you're starving and you're going to eat a lot of what you don't want to eat.
Yes.
So first thing is eat healthy during the day and eat enough so that you're not starving.
That's
The
beautiful.
second thing is just um, that constant inner voice saying it's okay to have a piece of cake. It is not going to change anything. Um, it and maybe don't have an entire, whole piece, have half a piece, have what will satisfy you.
Mhm.
But taking the pressure off is the biggest thing, I think.
I absolutely agree, and it is something that is easier to say than putting into practice, and like you said, you struggle still. I do too. I will say I'm not going to struggle, but it is still there, everything that I have heard. "I shouldn't eat this cake," "A moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips." Boy, I heard that so many times, and I will convince myself if I've had a few bites of cake or maybe even the whole piece of cake, I will convince myself in the morning before I ever get dressed that everything is going to be tight. Nothing's going to fit me this morning because I had a piece of cake last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've been taught this our whole lives, right? So it's
Mhm.
not going to change in 5 minutes. It's going to take a lot of work to kind of dial that back, and re just kind of recalibrate our brain to think differently. And
Right.
these habits take years to build, and
Mhm.
habits build neural pathways in your brain. And so it takes effort to really switch that around.
Yes. So you are so good at this. I'm so happy that I got to be one of your practice clients, which didn't feel like practice. You were so good at it. I didn't feel like I was being a practice anything with you.
Thank
What
you.
got you You're welcome. What got you interested in diving into this? This is a whole new career for you. So what made the major shift from executive director to health coach? They're very different. Well, maybe they're not so different because you're an executive director for yourself now, but the subject matter is different. What got you interested in this?
So first of all, my I feel like I've always tried to live a life of service, and so when I was an executive director, it was for a nonprofit that helped young women, young moms, single moms, and I knew I wanted to continue to help people, and so that was kind of at the forefront of my mind. Of course, I worked with you, and you are an amazing coach, and we worked a lot on where was I passionate? Like what would get me out of bed in the morning and want to run to work?
Yeah.
And I've always been um, focused on healthy eating and exercise. I used to be a runner. And I've always been like kind of passionate about health, although I was doing it wrong. So I have to throw that out there. I was doing it wrong. So we were talking, and I was like, I wonder if there's such a thing as a health coach. And I Googled it, and there actually was. And so I wanted to just dive into that and see where it led me. And then as I was going through the training, I started realizing uh, I had I didn't have any, I've never had an eating disorder, but I had very disordered eating.
Yes.
Just because of all the foods I wouldn't eat, I over exercised. A lot of I started gaining weight, I think in my like mid 30s, late 30s. And I mean, it wasn't a ton of weight, but I was on a diet. That's when my dieting started.
Hmm.
And so I was on a 1,200 calorie a day diet for the longest time. And I would restrict my calories to 1,200 and then try and run 5 miles, and couldn't understand why I couldn't get through my whole run. Well, it's because I was starving.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it just was like this constant, food was on my mind constantly. What should I be eating? How am I going to get my workout in today when I'm working? And it just became so incredibly stressful. And added to that, when I started to go through perimenopause, my weight had kind of leveled off, and then very quickly I gained, which to me was a significant amount of weight.
Mhm.
I gained 12 pounds in, I think, 6 months or something like that. And that was hard. And so I went to my gynecologist and asked him, like, why is this happening? And his advice, and I'm not being disparaging to him at all. I have a lot of respect for him, and he's delivered my second child, and I'm not I'm not commenting on him at all, but
Yeah.
he told me to do Weight Watchers, that it was not hormonal. And I was like, I left there just feeling very defeated.
Yeah.
And then I went to my GP and asked her the same question. And again, love her. And she, but she said, it is hormonal and there's nothing you can do about
Oh.
it. So I was
Oh,
like,
been there. Oh my gosh.
ah,
Yes.
yeah, I think so many of us have been there and heard
Yes.
that. And it's just, so I'm like, okay, where does that leave me? So I said, I'm going to find my own solution. I have to find my own solution.
Yes.
And now I want to share that.
That is so beautiful, and I know that there are many listeners who are who are in their cars or at their desk or on their walk saying, "Me too, me too." We've heard this. And yes, nothing against our healthcare professionals. They are telling us what they've been taught.
Right.
And which is it is unfortunate because when you dive into what is really going on and and how much diet culture plays into this and our mindset plays into this. I remember asking one of my clients one time was talking about this with me and the frustration that she had with her weight and what was going on with her body and she didn't know what was going on and I have felt the same way. And she was talking about every morsel of food she was putting in her mouth. And I'm not a health coach, but I said to her, "What if it's not about the food? What if this has nothing to do with food and everything to do with your mindset? Your mindset I can help you on. And I can refer you to someone for health coaching, but what if it's not about food? What if there's more to the picture?" And that kind of is what got me searching too. So when you jumped into this, I was extremely excited because I knew I knew you would be able to help not only me, but so many other women on this journey of what why do I feel this way and why am I this way and what do I do with all these thoughts that are coming into my mind? Why do I feel unworthy because I don't have long, skinny legs? Where did that come from? You know? And and so that is what you help us dive into. I know, I mean, our time goes so fast, but can you tell us about the anchors? This was my favorite part of
Oh,
what we
yes.
talked about. So I'm not letting you go till we talk about the anchors.
Okay, so with all the clients that I work with, I one of the things that we do in the very beginning is think of 2 or 3 anchors that are something that you have around you or on you. Like I know with you, you used your wedding rings because they're always on you. And those anchors are a reminder of why you're doing what you're doing. And also to act as, if you're coming home and you're starving and you're reaching for something unhealthy, to kind of stop you in your tracks so that you stop and take a step back and think about why you're on this health journey.
Mhm.
So it acts as a reminder every day, every moment, if it's something you always have on you, of why you're on this journey and why you want to eat healthier. It's not about necessarily getting skinny,
Right.
losing weight. It really is developing better habits, healthier habits, that where you're fueling your body to do all the wonderful things that you want to do and not depriving yourself of the joy of food, because food really, and we do this so that we have, that's what happens with this negative relationship, is that we lose all the joy in eating.
Mhm.
And I grew up in an Italian family where we have really long Sunday dinners where we're eating and talking and having wine. And that's a joyous thing. And it should be sharing a table with friends and family. Um, should be a joyous thing and not something that stresses you out a lot beyond belief.
Yeah. I I love, love, love the anchor. It is something that is always, I mean, I chose my wedding ring, wedding picture, and then a pair of polka dot pants. and they have become such a focal point for me in really helping me stay grounded, not to if I look at my wedding picture, which we put right to the left of my monitor, right? I don't look at it and think, oh gosh, I had cake twice this past weekend, I'm such a failure. I look at it as I I I consciously chose to celebrate those 2 birthdays with my friends, and to I consciously chose to eat what was in front of me rather than, as I have done in the past, walk in with my special food so that I could eat with people, which takes all the joy away from that situation. And they are such incredible reminders. There's so much I wanna talk to you about, so you're just gonna have to come back. You're gonna have
I
to come
would
back
love to, love to.
on.
Yeah.
Love to have you. And Kristine, for those of you who are listening and are on the fence about coming to Radical Empowerment Live, coming up October 18th and 19th in Binghamton, New York, Kristine is one of our speakers for both the main stage and VIP days. You're going to get her twice in the weekend. And you, if for no other reason, come to Radical Empowerment Live to meet Kristine in person and get to work with her just for coming to the event. Kristine, how can you give us a peek into what you're going to be bringing to us at the event?
Yeah, so on the open day, the Friday with the full event, I am going to be talking about how you can start eating healthier tomorrow. 5 small steps that you can take to help you start eating healthier tomorrow. And then VIP day, I have a journal that I've developed, and it really is about being positive and tracking habits. And I am going to give all the VIPers one of those journals. Yay.
That is the
And
inaugural release of this journal too.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
And teach them how to use it.
that's
This
so
is going to be
fabulous.
such a great event, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. And I've been to your events before. They're so uplifting and fun and joyous, and can't wait for it.
I can't wait to have you there. Thank you so much for being with us. So before we let you go, we have a few questions that we need to know. And the first one is, what is your superpower?
Oh, my superpower.
Ah,
Honestly, I feel this is a quote I love. Everybody is an individual, right? And your superpower is simply being you.
I love that.
Yes, I love that quote. So
Yeah.
today, my superpower is that I'm the only one of me.
Yes, I absolutely love that answer. That's so wonderful. I'm going to steal that answer. How can we find you?
So you can go to KristineCunningham.com, and it's Kristine Cunningham.com. And I have a Facebook group, Rediscover Your Glow, on Facebook. And I share so many tips and insights into this subject on that
Thank
Facebook.
you. And I will make sure that those are linked beneath this. So if you're watching us on YouTube or you're listening on a podcast channel, just head to the show notes and all of those links will be there. Kristine, can you leave us with a writing prompt?
So, we all have this negative narrative in our head all the time. And I believe you taught me about gratitude and how gratitude can really shift how you think about things, and it can shift your day. And so can talking positively about yourself instead of negatively. So, my journal prompt is name 3 things you love about yourself and why.
That is beautiful and will be a challenge for many of us.
But it
Be
gets easier the more you do it.
It does. It absolutely does. I can remember the first time doing that though and staring at a blank sheet of paper. The interesting thing is, and this maybe we can do this on the next podcast episode. The interesting thing is I used to do this with clients, and when I would ask my male clients to make a list, of things about themselves that are really awesome, they had no trouble writing out their list. No trouble at all.
Of course they didn't.
And the women would be boxering me saying, "I can't think of anything that's awesome about me."
It's
So,
so sad though. I mean,
yes,
we're laughing,
it
but
is.
it is so sad. We
It
spend
is.
so much of our day telling ourselves how much we dislike
Yes.
every little thing.
Yeah. We have found the topic for our next podcast. I'm already excited. So we'll get you scheduled again. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. You are truly an amazing human being.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Thanks.